Last time, I promised you something you use every day without a second thought. Here it is. Picture someone on a train or a plane. They slip on a pair of headphones, tap a button, and the roar of the world just drops away. Ask most people how that works, and they'll say the same thing. The headphones block the noise out. Better cushions, a tighter seal, and that's half true, but it's not what the noise-canceling part actually does. Here's the strange truth. A noise-canceling headphone doesn't block the world out. It listens to the noise coming at you, builds a perfect upside-down copy of it, and plays that copy straight into your ear. So the two sounds crash together and cancel to near silence. It doesn't wall the sound out, it erases it with a mirror image. It fights sound with more sound. And by the end of this, you'll know exactly how that trick works, and why the same headphones can silence a jet engine, but do almost nothing about the person talking 2 rows back. No hype, no doom, just how it works. To see the trick, you need just one idea about sound, the only physics in the whole video. Sound isn't a thing that flies through the air. Sound is a pattern of pressure. When something vibrates, a jet turbine, a guitar string, a speaker cone, it shoves the air in front of it into a zone of higher pressure. Then it pulls back and the air stretches thin into a zone of lower pressure. Squeeze, stretch, faster than you can follow. That ripple races outward, reaches your eardrum, and makes it wobble in time with the pattern. Your brain calls that sound. Draw the pressure over time and you get the shape everyone knows, that up and down squiggle, a wave. How fast it wiggles is the pitch, the frequency. How big the wiggle is, that's the loudness, the amplitude. Big, slow wiggles are a low rumble, tiny, fast ones, a high whistle. Hold on to that picture, a wave of pressure wiggling towards your ear, because the whole canceling trick happens right on top of it. Now here's the move that makes it all work. Take that noise wave, the one wiggling towards your ear, and build a second wave that's its exact mirror. Same shape, same size, same loudness, but flipped completely upside down. So everywhere the noise wave pushes the air into a high-pressure peak, the mirror wave pulls it into a low-pressure trough at exactly the same instant. Engineers call that flipped-over copy anti-noise. Now play both at once right at your eardrum. The peak of one lands precisely on the trough of the other. One pushes the air, the other pulls it by the same amount at the same moment. And they cancel. The pushes and pulls add up to almost nothing. Your eardrum barely moves. The roar becomes a hush. Physicists call this destructive interference, and it's the single idea the whole device is built on. So the headphone isn't insulating you from anything. It's broadcasting the exact opposite of the world into your ear. So the two waves annihilate each other before they reach your eardrum. It's not a wall, it's a mirror. Which means the quietest thing you own is quiet because it never stops screaming. The perfect opposite of everything around you thousands of times a second. So how does a headphone pull this off? Let's crack one open. There are really just 3 kinds of part doing the work. First, microphones, tiny ears on the headphone itself. There's usually one on the outside of the ear cup, facing the world. It hears the noise coming before it reaches you, and it's called feed forward. It gives the system a head start. Then there's often a second mic on the inside, right next to your ear. That one doesn't listen to the world, it listens to the result, whatever noise actually got through. It's called feedback because it forms a correcting loop. It checks its own work and nudges the anti-noise until the leftover is as small as possible. Most good headphones today use both mics together. That's what hybrid means. Second part, a tiny chip called a DSP, a digital signal processor. This is the brain. It takes what the mics hear, works out the shape of the incoming wave, and builds the upside-down copy in real time. And the third part you already knew was there, the speaker, the little driver that plays your music. Here's the neat bit. There's no separate canceling speaker. The The same driver that plays your song also plays the anti-noise, mixed right in. You hear the music, the noise gets flattened by the mirror wave riding alongside it. Now, there's a catch hiding in all of this, and it's brutal: timing. That noise wave is already moving. Sound travels fast, roughly 340 meters a second, and your eardrum is right there, a few millimeters past the speaker. So the headphone can't take its time. The whole loop, hear the noise, work out its opposite, play the anti-noise, has to finish in a tiny fraction of a millisecond, because the anti-noise only cancels if it arrives perfectly lined up, peak sitting exactly on trough. And here's the scary part. If the timing slips even a little, the mirror wave shows up in the wrong place, a peak landing on a peak instead of a trough. And now, instead of canceling the noise, the anti-noise adds to it. You'd make it louder. So this isn't fast just to be impressive. Get the timing wrong and it doesn't fail quietly, it fails backwards. And that one fact, everything depends on landing the anti-noise in exactly the right place at exactly the right instant, is the key to the most important thing about these headphones, what they can and can't do, which is this.
Why can a pair of headphones erase the roar of a jet engine, but do almost nothing about a baby crying 2 rows back? It feels backwards. The engine is so much louder, but it falls straight out of that timing problem. Start with the engine. That deep drone is a low-frequency sound, a long, slow wave. A hum around 100 hertz stretches to about 3.5 meters from peak to peak and takes a full 10 milliseconds to complete one cycle. To a chip working in fractions of a millisecond, that's an eternity. The wave is slow, steady, and boring. The next cycle looks just like the last. So the system has all the time it needs to sample it, predict where it's going, build the mirror, and drop it in perfectly. The drone gets crushed. Now the baby's cry, or a voice, or a clap. Those are high-frequency sounds, short, fast waves. A high tone around 10,000 hertz has a wave only about 3.5 centimeters long and completes a cycle in 1/10 of a millisecond. Now the timing window is tiny, and at that size, being off by just a few millimeters, a few millionths of a second, is enough to flip the anti-noise from canceling the wave to reinforcing it. Worse, a voice or a cry is sudden and irregular. There's no steady pattern to predict. By the time the system's figured the sound out, it's already past your eardrum. So there's a rough dividing line, somewhere around 1,000 hertz. Below it, low, steady, droning sound, noise canceling is brilliant. Above it, sharp, sudden, high-pitched sound, it mostly gives up. And here's the real takeaway. That's not a cheap pair of headphones. No amount of money fixes it. That's the universe. Noise canceling is a specialist, built to kill the boring, steady drone, and honest to physics, bad at the sharp, sudden stuff. Which raises a question. If the electronics are so bad at high-pitched sound, why do good noise-canceling headphones still feel so quiet across the board? Because the electronics aren't working alone. They've got a partner, the least glamorous part of the whole headphone, the cushion. The soft pad over your ear, or the rubber tip inside it, does something completely different. It doesn't cancel anything. It just physically blocks sound, like a pair of earplugs. And here's the lovely part. A physical barrier like that is naturally best at exactly the sounds the electronics are worst at. High-pitched sounds have those short little waves, and short waves get soaked up and bounced away by a good seal. Low rumbles have long waves that bend right around the cushion and pour straight through. So the job splits neatly. The cushion blocks the highs, the electronics cancel the lows. One covers exactly what the other can't. They're not rivals, they're a team. And that's why the seal matters so much, even on a fancy electronic headphone. If the cushion leaks, the high-pitched sound floods in, and no amount of clever electronics can save you. Passive and active, covering opposite ends of the same problem.
Now, here's a lovely twist. Once you have all this, outside microphones, a chip, and a speaker in your ear, you can run the whole thing in reverse. You've probably used a button labeled something like transparency or ambient mode. Tap it, and suddenly you can hear the world again. A train announcement, someone asking a question, traffic at a crossing, all without taking the headphones off. It feels like the headphones switched off. It didn't. It's doing the exact opposite of canceling. Those same outside mics are still listening. But instead of building anti-noise to erase what they hear, the chip takes that outside sound and plays it straight through the speakers into your ears on purpose. It's not cancellation turned off. It's the world deliberately piped in. Same microphones, same chip, same speaker. The software just decides whether to fight the outside sound or hand it to you. One machine, two opposite jobs. So who figured all this out? The idea is far older than the gadget. Back in 1936, long before anything could actually do it, a German engineer named Paul Lug filed a patent describing the whole concept, silencing a sound by playing its opposite. He was decades ahead of the technology to build it. But the version you know has a great origin story. In 1978, an American engineer named Amar Bose was on a flight across the Atlantic. The airline handed out headphones, he put them on, and the engine roar completely drowned out the music. He pulled out a pen and started doing the maths right there in his seat, sketching a headphone that would hear the engine noise with a microphone and generate an equal and opposite signal to cancel it. That idea went to work in aviation first, headsets to protect pilots' hearing, and only years later reached the rest of us in the noise-canceling headphones that started rolling out to travelers around the year 2000. The physics was always there, waiting. It just took a very annoyed engineer on a very long flight to turn it into something you could buy. So let's be honest about what these are, because a few things people worry about make more sense now. First, they can't cancel everything, and that's actually a good thing. Voices, horns, sirens, a sudden shout, all the sharp, high, unpredictable sounds slip right through, which means these headphones will never make you deaf to the world. The urgent stuff still reaches you. So don't expect total silence. Expect the drone to melt away while the sharp warnings still get in. Second, that faint feeling of pressure. A lot of people switch on noise canceling and feel a slight fullness in their ears, a bit like a plane coming into land. Here's the reassuring truth. That is not real pressure pushing on your eardrum. Nothing is being pumped in. It's your brain reacting to something it almost never feels, the sudden absence of the low background hum it's used to hearing. It's a perception, not a force, and it's harmless. Third, in a silent room, you might hear a faint hiss. That's just the electronics themselves, the price of running live mics and amplifiers. And last, all of this needs power. When the battery dies, you're left with just the cushion doing its quiet, passive blocking. It was never magic insulation. It's a machine. So here's what you now understand that most people around you don't. A noise-canceling headphone doesn't block the noise. It plays the exact opposite of the noise and lets the two cancel. It crushes the low, steady drone and lets the sharp, sudden sounds through. And the cushion and the electronics quietly split the work between them. Not a wall, a mirror. If you enjoyed taking this one apart, subscribe and stick around, because next time we're opening up another everyday machine you've never really looked inside. Same curiosity, brand new machine. No hype, no doom, just how it works. See you in the next one.